Was it the girls?
3.
No, 4.
4. 3 and the step.
Yeah.
So 4.
Okay, excellent. Can you tell me when we go live? You see it? Okay, so we're almost. And boom. Excellent. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a special edition of Off the Record this evening. We have a wonderful couple who's known me my entire life, and I've watched them ever since I was younger and admire both of you all. Brother Garthion and Sister Andrea, who have been married for how long now?
22
years.
22 years. Praise be to God. Okay, excellent. And we want to just get some inspiration and motivation for the younger people who, and of course, everybody, but especially younger people who are trying to get married and need some advice off the record that's going to actually help them, and they can apply every day. Okay, so the first question I have is, we'll start with you, Brother Garthion.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, who chose who? Who made the first move? Who Who made the decision to pursue who?
Okay, yeah, let's get to it. First, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I'm gonna say this: we met in college, Chief. It's so funny because on our show we just we did a whole story on this about 3 weeks back. Okay. So when we met, she didn't like me when we met. I didn't necessarily approach her like that. We all hung out in a group, but before that, I saw her eating some potato chips in this annex area in college. And I'm in the nation. I'm young. This is 1 years old at the time. And as we were talking, I never did just go in hard teaching. I never used that method to scare people away. I would say something and I would leave it alone. So I said that the best time to eat, it's between 4 and 6. I'm dead serious. And I wasn't even trying, dear brother, listen, I wasn't trying to get my groove on or nothing like that. I just said it. And the look she gave me, man, was treacherous. It was like, please, I don't even know you.
I don't even know you.
She took another crunch of her chip, turned around and walked away. Now I knew her aunt. Her aunt used to sell 22-pound blocks of fish back in the day. And so it was the whiting. And so I was selling her aunt the fish. You know what I mean? So I knew her aunt, Evelyn, and her aunt, of course, didn't really introduce us. Like I said, it was a small HBCU, Harrisville State University, we went to. And so that's kind of how we met. It wasn't hey, what's your name? My name is Garthion. It wasn't that traditional something at all. It was kind of like the hangout together in the group, and it just happened. And I know that's kind of strange, but you didn't have that man. Who was that? Who was she? That it didn't happen like that.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'm going to ask you, sister, in 1 second. I want to just respond to everybody. Thank you all for watching. Brother Robert, walaikum salam. Brother Ghazi, walaikum salam. Brother Chris, walaikum salam. Naeem, walaikum salam. Thank you all for watching. I also want to make sure that we announce our sponsors this week. We have ABC I Love Me. Get the book on Amazon. My new children's book, Cleopatra. It's on Amazon. Politically Oppressed. Thank you for sponsoring this week's episode with Street Premiere. And also Sister Shanasia and her husband with their wonderful business that they, Everything is Real Enterprise. Thank you all for sponsoring as well. Okay, excellent. Now, Sister Andrea, how did you all, what was it about him that made you be interested?
He, first let me greet everyone. Assalamu alaikum, family. It is an honor to be on this evening discussing something that we're both very passionate about, which is Black marriage, and which is having loving, healthy relationships and always striving to improve those relationships. Mm-hmm. As he said, we were in college, and we were initially, we weren't in the same circles, but we had the same major. And as we continued on our collegiate journey, we found ourselves in classes together. and we were known as the conscious group. You know, I was hippie, he was the Muslim. You know, we had a really militant brother. We had an ethereal brother, but all of us were very conscious and very in tune with who we are as original people. And we were all very spiritually minded people. I grew to respect him because he was a very strong man. Even though he was young, he knew what he wanted, and he was very in tune with Allah. So I saw a very strong presence in him that captivated me. And because of his confidence, not a misplaced egotistical confidence, but a confidence that had a basis in truth. That's what I saw in him. So because I grew to respect him first, it was very easy then to go from respecting him to admiring him.
Okay, excellent. And thank you all for watching. I have a question. What has been, for you, Brother Garthian, what has been your greatest trial, and how did you overcome it?
Trial in the marriage?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's a great question. I'm going to say this too. No relationship is without it.
Right.
If you think you're going to a relationship thinking that there's not going to be any trial, when the Quran and Bible says otherwise, you crazy as hell. I'm going to say this too. Our show is called a Real Talk Relationship Series. So it's raw. We don't sugarcoat, you know. In your home, when it gets ugly, you ain't saying assalamu alaikum unless you're giving it ugly. Assalamu alaikum.
We have to go play with it. If I'm not in a peaceful mood and I don't want to scratch body, I'm not just like,
right. Our greatest trial, my greatest trial, right, with her, because we've been through a lot in this relationship. This 22 years hasn't been like, you know, the easy roll. It's been a beautiful one, and I would not have any other way. But I think my biggest struggle in our relationship really has been with myself. Because it's a phenomenal temperament. You see, I came up around it. My father was that. So what I grappled with in our relationship was not allowing my temper to get the better of me. I was and I've said it before, I was an asshole in the beginning. Right? Very kind of not completely having my way, but I had a temper. And when it got out of control, you know, it messed up some things. I could have lost my entire family, and took by Allah's permission, I began to get into personal development. And I remember reading How to Influence People. And of course, you know, if you know anything about the proper handling of people, then you know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's source. And so when I read that, not that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's source was not phenomenal, but this got into some specifics. And after getting into that, I said, man, I'm an idiot. I got to make some necessary changes in order to grow myself first. You can't get into a relationship if you're going to grow the other person. It doesn't work like that. Do that. Into the other relationship, we think I'm going to grow you. I'm going to make the kind of man I want to make. I'm going to make the kind of woman I make. It doesn't work like that. First thing you got to work on is self. That's why it's called the knowledge of self. But it ain't just the knowledge of self. See, my knowledge of who I am, Brother Joshua, is not the knowledge of you, and it's not the knowledge of her. Hers is hers, and mine is mine. So I had to work on me, growing me up out of my own baby language mentality. You see, once we were able, and I was able to do that, the shift happened quickly. You know, has all of its other kinds of trials, communication trials, chauvinistic trials, double standard trials that relationships have when you have a man and a woman in a relationship.
Okay, 1 second. Sister, before we come to you, could you give me an example? So just in case one of the men who was watching, one of us could watch it, make sure we can maybe sidestep. Could you give me an example of that, the chauvinistic or something that we need to work on?
I remember once, two examples. I remember I said these words, Josh, don't you ever say these, don't you ever use this word right here. I actually used the damn fool word decree.
Get the whole text, honey.
We got into an argument, This wasn't no arguing in the best of manners. This was Negroism, one-on-one arguing. And so I was asked to do something that really turned into a demand. And I said, I decree that you do ABC. I don't know what those came out my mouth, man. But it was, we look back on it now and laugh, but it was that, you know, that was an example of when I was upset about something, and it was, I'm gonna say it, and when I say it, it's done. Absolutely does not work that way. So does that answer the question?
Yes, sir, it does. Sister, what has been the greatest trial in you all's marriage from your side, from your standpoint?
You know, he touched on the importance of knowing oneself. And so as a woman, when we come into the marriage, we kind of think we know what we want. We want to make sure that we're pleasing to our husbands, because that's natural. Our natural role is that of the nurturer. So we're focused so much on nurturing the man that it's easy to lose track and lose perspective on nurturing oneself.
Come on, Andrea.
So, you know, we're blessed to be in this class because we have the How to Take Care of Your Husband class, and the focus that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has given the sisters is the focus on self, because I can't take care of him if I'm not caring for myself. So
lost in the cookie,
right?
Yeah.
You know, and he's telling, because we've had this conversation recently. So as a new MGT, as a new wife, I want to be the perfect MGT. I wanted to be the perfect wife, but I lost track of knowing myself and accepting the gifts and the talents that Allah has blessed me with. And as a result, I fell short of realizing my purpose, which is what we're here for. My purpose is not just to be Sister Andrea, Brother Garthion's wife, or Sister Andrea, top soldier, top MGT, because all of those things are part of me, but they are not me. My essence is something even more than that. So because I lost track of myself, it put me in a perspective, or put me in a position to not recognize my own illness in our marriage. And as a result, you know, you get to a place and you review your vows, and you think about how you promise to Allah to love, honor, obey, cherish all of those things, this other person, through sickness and in health. That is not physical sickness. It can be. It can be, I'm in the hospital or I have a fever, but it's not just that. It's so much more. It's the sickness of sin.
Right.
And so when you lose track of yourself, when you lose perspective of who you are as God's child, in my case, as God's daughter, then it's very easy to lose sight of that road that we're all on and find yourself in sickness. And by sickness, it can be anything. It can be small, little disobedience. It can be a little rebellion. It can be simply not realizing the talents and gifts that Allah has given us. And when you don't take advantage of that and share it with the world, which is what we're supposed to be doing,
right,
then you're not living up to what God intends for you to do.
And let me say this too. For those of you that are wondering, did they argue?
Yes.
Did they cuss?
Yes. Did I throw a phone at his head? Yes.
No, take off. This is real stuff.
High stepping.
Now, I've never put my hands on her. I've never reached to hit her. But we've gotten into all of the arguments and using the language that we should. Now, I'm just letting your audience know that you're not looking at that relationship that's 22 years where I'm going to sit up here and tell you anything otherwise. Now, you may have some of them that are out there that exist like that. You know, praise be to Allah. We're not that couple. What we are, strong tested. You know what I mean? What we are, see, you can go through relationships, but you can't say, really, I bear witness. What you bear witness to if you haven't been through anything? Bear witness to what? The toughness. You know what I'm saying? You got to have some weight put on you. See, in times of ease is easy. See, in times of love and bliss and love making, it's easy then. But when the real stuff gets into your relationship that actually tests your word.
Test your faith.
Right? Because the Quran says that Allah is oft returning to mercy. See, I have to take that to heart as an individual. I have to be able to treat her like Allah treats me with that same kind of mercy that when sin and when things come up in a relationship, am I going to bail out?
And vice versa. I have to be able to do the same thing. As a wife, sometimes we can look and we may not say anything, but we'll hold it. So when we hold it, that builds resentment in our heart. And that resentment starts to eat at the love. But as a wife, it's incumbent upon us to be able to return to mercy too, to be able to see past what's there right there in front of us at the moment.
Right.
Absolutely. Can we stay right there on that resentment word? Okay, so one of my favorite Beyonce songs, which all the girls I know talk, is she has a song called Resentment, where she cries on stage and she's singing it. And it's like, I didn't understand it. So I was talking to someone and she was like, you don't know, you know what I'm saying? Because women just hold so much. And I'm like, I didn't know. How can men better ease the pain of women to make sure that, like, make it so that you won't resent us? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do we do that? You know what I'm saying? So there won't be built up resentment. How do we work on that?
You know, I've been very blessed, Brother Joshua, and I'm going to tell you why, because we've always been friends. So like I said, I didn't see him and fall in love with him. In fact, when I saw him and when I met him, I did not like him. But because that respect grew first, I wasn't looking at him and seeing this fine man. What I was looking at was a partner, you know, a friend. You know, he was my homie before he was my husband. And so as a result, communication has always been part of our foundation. Huge. So we would actually do so much together in college that sometimes people didn't know when we worked for just used to seeing us together anyway, always kind of joking, you know, helping each other out in class. And that was our group as well. I think when we talk about resentment, so early on in the marriage, because we transitioned from being homies to being husband and wife, I lost sight of that for a minute. And as a result, certain things I would have felt free to communicate before, I held on to. Mm-hmm. What I had to do as a wife was be able to say, you know what, I can't hold this anymore. And that's when we started arguing, because I stopped holding stuff and it was crazy. Now it was off the chain at first because I didn't know how to express it. I didn't know how to return back to that friend. See, the basis, the foundation of our relationship, other than Allah, is also our friendship. Right. And I think that as husbands and wives, as we mature, that foundation has to be there. If you cannot sit down, it's like If I Were Your Girlfriend, the song by Prince. Come on. You know, okay. Prince had a beautiful song. Oh. When you listen to the all right, hold it. When you listen to the lyrics, he's saying to his significant other, I want you to run to me, even if I'm the one who've hurt you. Mm-hmm. And so that's so important as wives and as husbands. We have to be able to go to each other and say, okay, this is what happened, but I have to talk with you about it because I don't want to harbor it. Right. And I love you enough to know that if I harbor it, it's going to hurt me and it's going to hurt you.
And that's what resentment, in short, when it is stopping someone from doing something, and that other person accepts that you stopped them from doing it, did not tell you, but they harbor a feeling that, man, I wish I could have done this. That feeling turns in on itself, and then it comes out at you because they resent you because they felt like you forced them in a corner to do this particular thing that they really didn't want to do, but it was them to do it. So, simple example.
You didn't allow.
Right. Simple example is, I'm the man, I work. You stay at home, take care of the babies. Right? She might want to work. She may want to get out. But she'll accept that I said, this is what I want. But what is setting up over a protracted period of time is resentment. Because I really want to do it, but I don't know how to express to you this thing that I want to do. And I just use that as an example. So it can blacken a person's heart toward another person in a manner that they don't even see coming. And all of a sudden it's, whoa, where the hell all of this come from? Well, you harbored this thing that you didn't let out because you felt you couldn't, based on whatever happened prior to, enforce that.
It's like cancer. So cancer doesn't start off big. Sometimes by the time we find out it's stage 4, but it starts off stage 0, and it goes from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and then it metastasizes all through your body. And so it's, say it for me. See, you can't, he can't even say it. Right? And if it had been checked when it was at stage 0, sometimes even 1, 2, 3, and 4, it could have been handled before it killed you. So that resentment has the propensity to kill your marriage. It starts off at stage 0, but if you ignore it, it's going to continue to grow. And what happens is that blackness, it eats out the space that really should be consumed with love.
Okay, excellent. I have a question about jealousy. We'll start with you, sir. How do you deal with jealousy if your woman works, so she might work around men, or you just see her with the opposite sex choosing on her, like constantly? Maybe how do you handle jealousy as a man, and then we'll come to you, sister, with how do you handle jealousy as a woman?
Well, you can't stop it. The Quran says, about trial, it says, and after trial is difficult. With the trial, with it, it's difficulty. After the ease, and with the difficulty comes the ease. See, with it deals with acceptance. I can't stop somebody from flirting with her or a man being around. There's nothing I can do about that. So I release that because it's not on me. Right? I should not feel overprotective. Who is that? What I say to you, I got to be confident in myself and our relationship to know that if that comes up, then it has to be, it'll be dealt with. One way or the other. But what I can't do is worry my mind on it. That's all it is. Brother Rasul taught me once, he said, brother, he said, worry is the misuse of your imagination. And see, this is where jealousy comes in when you sit back and you think about what they may or may not be doing. So you abuse your own mind, abuse your own thinking to something that may not even be true. I cannot, if she decides to do whatever she decides to do, what I decide to do in the relationship, so I can't abuse my mind with what's gonna happen and dealing with the whole. I've never been a jealous guy. I've never been that guy. And we have been around each other, and the opposite sex has hit on both of us at some point while the other one was right there, because we used to work together, and they thought we were brother and sister. So brothers would hit on her. I didn't jump up. Hey man, that's my wife. For what? She handled it. Same thing with me. I handled it, and that was it. And I didn't have to handle it by saying, that's my wife. That's my wife right there. I didn't have to mention my wife 20 million times. I just didn't pursue that. See, here's what you got to know. And I try to live by this, and when I haven't, I failed. Don't place yourself in a position to have to make the decisions. You lose. And this isn't sin. This isn't. It could be infidelity. It can be thievery. You place yourself in a position where, should I be doing this or should I be doing this? By the time you've already figured it out, that means you're in a place where you have no business.
And that rule is not just for brothers. That's for sisters too. You know, it works both ways. Every time we put ourselves in a position where we have to make a decision, particularly if our faith is shaken for any reason at that moment, then we're going to make the wrong decision. So it's best to not put ourselves in certain positions. to be tested to the point where we will fail.
Right. So the minister said, brother, this is a black male and female relationship. He said, self-mastery is the key. The devil will get in where you are weak.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. Oh, okay. What about you all's extended family and their role of accepting both sides, like your side of the family versus their side of the family? How do you all deal with that if they didn't approve or like? How was that? When you all started, courting and dating, and
like in a way of problems with in-laws.
We don't
yes,
have
sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
Are you talking about like? Oh yeah, we don't have. We just did a show on our show called Love, Hate, or Tolerate the In-Law Effect. Was the title.
Okay.
Love, hate, or tolerate, because that's a real situation. Fortunately, I love my in-laws. Like, we hang out. We can go to the movies together. We can go to dinner together. I can just go sit over there and just chit-chat, talk, and be cool. We've never had that as a hang-up, right? One of the things that produces that, and you'll find that men and their daughters don't go through it as much as women and their sons, where the mother-in-law doesn't like the daughter. Mm-hmm. And I know some treacherous cases, more than one that we've had to kind of counsel or deal with, because you cannot, and when we did our show, one of the points that we made is, brother, you can't have your mother run your relationship. You can't do it. Your mother cannot run your relationship with your wife, for your wife offers something that your mother cannot. And I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about companionship. I'm talking about the ability to grow from one another and the like. So can't have that.
Just to add, I've been, we are very blessed because I love my mother-in-law. She's coming in probably in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And she's going to stay with us for about a week. Wow, that can be such a difficult time for a wife if she's trying to be the nurturer of the husband, but then here come mama, here come mama, and she's gonna tell you, she's gonna point out in front of the husband all the things that you're doing that her son doesn't like, but your wife, and you're with him as his adult helpmeets. Mom got him through those stages so that she could just be confident to know that he's a man by God's grace. And now she wants to come and sit in between you and hubby. And that can bring undue pressure to any relationship. And the same thing with fathers who maybe are a little overprotective and they're watching the husband like, I'm waiting for this Negro to mess up. Sometimes as parents, and I'm looking at this from the perspective of a mother of 3 sons, I don't want to be that mom who wants to be number one in her son's lives, because they need to be able to let the wife be the wife. I have a husband. Mm-hmm. I don't need to be the husband to all my sons. So when they're released and when it's time for them, or the wife to all my sons, when they're released and it's time for them to go and to be the man of their household and to be the provider for their wife, I will be so grateful to Allah that we were able to be instrumental in helping them develop into men.
And bottom line is, brothers, you just gotta don't be no punk.
Oh no.
You gotta
stand up to mom.
You gotta be brave enough to tell mom, thank you, but no thanks, and I got this, because you're gonna be my mother. I mean, that's
right.
I don't have.
So you have to divorce me.
You can't divorce mom. Mom's gonna be mom regardless. You came from her. Period. Even if y'all have a strained relationship, that's still gonna be your mom.
Right.
My wife cannot be my wife one day because of you. So I have to be able to tell you, no, man, back off, chill out. We got it. If I need you, then I will seek assistance, to you after patience, prayer, and dealing with my significant my wife. So you just can't allow that, to ruin a relationship. because you really can't ruin your relationship with your mother like that.
Okay, excellent. And I see your comment, Brandon Scroggins. I'm coming right to it. But I had a question. So there was an episode on the television show Martin where Martin was sick and he needed somebody to help nurse him back to health. But Gina was busy. And then when she wasn't busy, and she was in the living room trying to make him some soup. And he kept saying, I need my mama, I need my moms, I need my moms. In a situation where the mother she knows the right soup or knows the right food to maybe heal him, and the wife may not be doing it, what should the man do?
You know what I think at that point, it's not so much what should the man do, but it's what should the wife do.
Right.
So if I see, like in our case, when we first got married, my mother-in-law can make the bomb macaroni and cheese. And my husband loves his macaroni and cheese. So what did I do? I studied my mother-in-law's macaroni and cheese. I talked to her. I saw what she did. And I learned to make that he loved. And I also learned how to improve it. So now my macaroni and cheese is the bomb. And he'll even tell her, and she'll even say, how many cheese did Andrea put in the macaroni and cheese this time? It's incumbent upon the wife sometimes to go to the mother-in-law and to find out the things that the husband likes if she does not know. Right. That's part of the courtship process, actually. And here's the thing. See, sometimes when we have the wedding, we think, oh, it's done. We're good. We did our vows, we had a party, we did all those things, but we're still courting. Yeah. If you're always in courtship mode, you're always learning your spouse. Say that. See, he's not the same person he was 22 years ago. And I'm not the same person, praise be to Allah, that I was 22. I mean, we're going to keep it real, right? Yes, so because of that, there were things that I had to learn. And there are things that I like that he had to learn. And there are things that I'm liking now that he's learning, and vice versa. A wife should not, or a husband should be, neither of us should be, afraid to consult with the parents to find out things about the other person that we may or may not know.
And that's typically because, see, we don't want nobody in our crap. Mm-hmm. We don't want nobody in our crap. Divorce is rampant in our nation and in this world because we don't want to get no help. See, we want to go through and make everybody think we got it. We call that here putting our false face forward. See, you want to be out there like you're a success, but then behind the closed doors, you really a failure in your relationship because you don't want to go to the mother or the father or somebody else behind each other. You want to pretend like you got it, and you don't.
Excellent. Okay, wonderful. My sister Naima says that I will call my mom, and my other sister agrees. No, I would not. Okay, listen. Brother Brandon Scroggins says, are there any books that you all can recommend for couples to read together about roles and marriages?
We've read so many books, but I'm gonna be honest with you. We've read some marriage books. Not a ton. We've studied one another. What I would recommend that you do is first read something about you. Mm-hmm. See, I think, don't get me wrong, you can, please go get some books on business. But what I begin to study is first myself. How to win friends and influence people.
Self-improvement.
As a man thinker. These were books. As a man thinker.
The study guide, self-improvement.
The study guides, of course.
Development. The Holy Quran.
Right. There's another book called That's Something.
Yes.
This is stuff that I was reading concerning me as an individual. Then you all go to the store together and find the book that's going to, because even if I name some books, that don't mean it's specific for you in whatever you're going through in your relationship. Right. So that you go together to a Barnes and Noble or the internet to figure out what it is and be brave enough to discuss the issues. I think part of the problem, Brother Joshua, man, is we don't talk about what we do and what we don't like about one another. See, I'm a firm believer, communication is huge. And so I remember sitting down having that conversation with her. What is it about the way that I communicate with you that you don't like? And what would better help? How would you like for me to communicate with you? I'm saying we had a lot of those conversations, Chief. how would you like me to treat you in this particular instance? Now, I'm going to wait on the answer. There are counsel that didn't want to follow that. And they kept running into the same damn problem. Well, didn't he or she just tell you what not to do? Why didn't you do it anyway? So she said, this is what I would like for you to do. Okay, I did it.
I think to add to what he's saying, I mean, like he said, there are books that you can go out and you can do all this research, but marriage is one of those things that requires practical application. It's hands-on training, you know. So the studying of self, the communication, the spending time with each other. And by that, you know, we talked about this on our show. We talked about how important it is to, even if you don't have a lot of time, maximize the time you have. So sometimes he'll come home and I'll say, hey, ride to the store with me. Or, you know, we need chlorine. Let's go together. We'll go get chlorine for the pool. I mean, it can be anything. On the phone, you know, we'll talk on the phone when he's on his way home from work.
And on my break.
And on his breaks. And, you know, if I'm on my way to the gym. The other day, I didn't call him because he came home. He works 2 jobs. So he came home. I thought he was asleep. I went to the gym. He's like, oh, so I didn't get a call on your way to the gym. But we have to maximize our time. I mean, that's real. He was serious. I was like, well, honey, I thought you were asleep. Nah, that's not our routine. You know, we got a routine. But you have to define what works for you all. And you have to study yourself first and be true to yourself so that you can be true to your spouse. Because if you can't be true to yourself, none of it is going to work.
None of it.
You know?
Okay. How, if you meet someone, how do you know, or how can you know that this person is the one that you want to introduce to your parents, that you're ready to walk to make this commitment? Are there some things that you can maybe know that this person is the one?
And that's a loaded question. The answer is yes and no. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we think that one is the one. You don't know. That's the real truth, Josh. You don't know enough to know until you get into the relationship.
Yeah.
You see? What does the Quran say about having a comprehensive knowledge? See? If you would have known, you might have turned back on your heels. If I'd have known some of the stuff that we would go through, I might have said, hell with that. That's all right. I back down off that. Vice versa.
We only had one little tip before we got married. And I remember thinking, oh, if you're going to clown like that over some wedding invitations, maybe I need to walk away. He's like, no. And it was all gravy for a while. And then, but after we got married, you see, after we got married, and sometime after we got married, everything was fine until we had another argument.
Right.
And so, you know, it's a blessing that you don't know everything, because remember, we're growing.
Right.
So if I judge him off of an argument before we got married, or the first 5 arguments, or even the first 6, 7, even the first 22 years, when we're able by Allah's grace to be able to say we've been married 50 years. I don't want to judge him at year 22.
Right.
I don't want to judge him at all, because we're still growing into who Allah purposes us to be.
And Allah is what?
Returning to mercy.
And that's it's a stage.
How many times is that said in the Quran?
Right. It's a stage, it's a level. It's not that first thing, you know, I'm going to cut and run. So when we were courting, we talked a lot. Mm-hmm. We asked a lot of questions. You know, I can't say for certain that I just knew she was the one. Now, there was something in my head that did say, by Allah's permission, right? Oh, wow. I'm going to end up with this one. Mm-hmm. But I can say for a certain, you know, she's the one. And I think that's where we make that mistake. And while we go from person to person to person to person, as soon as we see what appears to be a flaw that we can't deal with, we want to cut and run. That's right. You're not going to certain really just know like that. That doesn't mean that the courtship won't be beautiful. I know a lot of beautiful courtships that they lie through. Mm-hmm. You know, trying to impress, trying to make it feel like that's the one. So you force that's the one statement on the relationship when it really wasn't the one. You just wanted it to be because you thought you wanted compassion or love or whatever it was so badly that you wasn't patient enough to really study the person, study yourself to figure out not if this is the one. Kill that language. No. If this is somebody that I'm willing to give the opportunity to.
And to grow with.
You'll figure out the 122 years later, 20 years later, 25 years later, 30 years later. Because there are relationships that last 20 and 25 years and they still end up in divorce. And you ask yourself the question, because that's serious hell. You want to know, how did that happen? It didn't happen in year 25. It happened in year 4 or 5.
Right.
Y'all the resentment. Y'all didn't figure it out. You wasn't really communicating like you should. You wasn't fixing
work. That's the other thing. See, you can in a marriage and somebody stop working, or both people stop working. You're still legally married. You're still looking like you're in the process of becoming one. But because you're not working toward it anymore, you're not becoming one. And what happens is when you get in it, you find out it can be painful. You have two beings and they're coming together. They're colliding together.
Boom.
In that collision, there is bound to be some pain. But when you work through the pain, you find that the pain eases and eases and eases. And then you find that becoming one is not as hard as you thought it was, as long as you're both working toward it.
That's why when you get married, you're not married.
Right.
I'm going to say that one again. When you get married, you are not married. What it was, and I've said this so many times by a lot of tradition, what it was witnesses came together for you to say that you're going to go through the process. We're still in process.
Mm-hmm.
We're still in processing class. We're still in process. Go through the process of becoming one. Not the process, we throw it out there and I get it. We said on this show, we've been married 22 years. But really the real language is we're wedded and we're getting married in the process. For 22 years, we've been in the marriage process. See, if you stay there, but when you throw finite in it,
like we're done.
We're married.
This is the final destination. And by Allah's grace and mercy, this is not our final destination. No. We're still working to get there. And it's a beautiful journey. It has its ups and downs. It has its valleys. It has its hills. It has, just the constant steady. It has dips and dives. It's a roller coaster. It's all of that. But I would not want to experience any of what we're going through with anyone else on this planet. Right. And I'm blessed that I'm not experiencing it with anyone else on this planet because Allah fashioned him for me and me for him. And so when you ask that question, well, how do you know? You don't know. There is no 100% guarantee. But the more you work with the person, the more you love the person, the more you love yourself, the more you self-study them, the more in tune you become with Allah and with each other, then the more you're willing to continue to work and strive on that path. And see, the beauty in this is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that the marriage is the foundation of the family and the family is the foundation of the nation. Think about that. We're all out here trying to do all this stuff in the name of building a nation, and most of us can't have a decent marriage or a healthy family. Right. But that's the cornerstone of our nation. And we wonder why we have not built our nation because we're not building our marriages and our families. Because we're really not. The minute I heard this say this, he said, talking about the nation, that whenever you leave, what you're really saying is you don't want to struggle anymore. That's right. Mm-hmm. See what's so easy not to do. See? So it's easy, right, to just walk away. It's easy to bail out. What is not easy is to stay in the thick of it. It's like work through it. It's just like lifting weights. If you've ever lifted weights before, if you want to get strong, you can't lift the same weight. Eventually, you got to put on some heavier weight in order to get stronger. And you got to change up the weight gain. So you might run today and lift weights tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You might do today and do 7 ups tomorrow. See, because the muscle
like your relationship, it will get used to the same kind of movement, and it will not grow beyond that movement until you do something different. So when a different trial comes, oh, see, you thought that last one was bad.
And then you rested. You rested. Like, oh, it's over. You better prepare because another one's coming.
Another one's going to be some girl because you thought it was bad until that one that came. It's like when I broke my finger. I can't move my finger beyond right here. When I was in that pain, nobody else's pain was greater than my pain because it was mine. Now, if I break my hip bone or femur, this ain't, you know what? In comparison to that. So you have to keep it in perspective.
And you have to prepare for the trial that's coming. But here's how you prepare. Because you can always prepare in some kind of way. So here's how you prepare. You constantly fall in love with that person.
Okay.
You constantly, touch them. Sometimes, we get spooky in the nation.
We do.
We don't want to touch each other. We walk around calling each other brother and sister. I told him, I said, please don't call me Sister Andrea because I don't know, it seems a little incestuous to me. I'm your wife, okay? I understand formality, but when we're home, don't address me like that.
And
hey, honey.
Sweetheart. Cool.
Sweetheart.
And when she walked past, tap.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We are Muslim-like. We are Muslim-y. We get too rigid. Flirt. Hold hands.
Because if we don't flirt with each other, somebody else is waiting to flirt with us. And that's real.
Right. You know what I'm saying? We don't do, I'm going to the beach or just little things that you do. It's so funny how swear we get as Muslim men and women in the nation of Islam sometimes.
Yes.
You weren't the swear in the world, were you?
That's right.
But now, sister. Now what? No, I'm not getting ready to be like that. So when you get rigid and stiff, and I'm not negating what we're taught, but we take the interpretation of what we've been taught and give it our own shroud of understanding that's not clear at all. So yeah, this is my wife. I'm gonna flirt with her. I'm gonna tell her how fine she is.
Please tell me how fine I am.
Go buy her some roses. Or I'm gonna buy her one rose. Or I'm gonna give her one petal. I'm gonna write poetry. I'm gonna send her a nice little text message over the phone. Mm-hmm. The minister said these words, and I quote, brother, how you keep her, how you got her is how you keep her. That too is on black male-female relationship. How you got it is how you keep her. See, you was doing all of that stuff, remember? Yeah. You was getting those. You were going and you were buying flowers, weren't you? Yeah. You were buying cards, right? You were sending little nice messages, weren't you? You were doing all of that stuff. Y'all were, going out. You even had her come over to the house and you might even cook for her, right?
Or sisters, you were making carrot cake for him. You were when he was out selling the final call. Show up in your car, give him a nice fresh beverage, making sure he's cool, supporting him with all his soldiering.
I'm sorry, please, sister, who are these sisters who are doing this? Like, I've never had no sister pull up and just do something.
No, that's true. Yes. I be out there soldiering, man, all them years ago, hard, selling 700-800 papers, At the time, I'm single, no children, I'm out, right? Dark. And I see that little yellow Nissan Z28.
No, 240.
No, 240 SX pull up. So out the thing was a bottle of water, cold water, cold tea.
Like the Arizona
tea. It's the little things, but that's 20-something years ago. We're talking 20-something years later, but we still do those things for one another. Mm-hmm. Do something new.
Yeah.
Don't do the same stuff because the muscle will get used to that.
Right.
You see, it's like being in the bed. I know what we getting ready to do. We're going to do the same thing the way we always do. I told you, Josh,
you wanted to last more than 5-10 years. I mean, You want to experience each other and have a beautiful, loving relationship and keep everything new. You know, what do they say in business? New blood is the lifeblood of any. New blood is the lifeblood in your marriage. New blood is the lifeblood in your kitchen. Sisters, you know, we can't just keep cooking the same exact meal for 22
rice,
brown rice,
and
vegetables. Bean pie for dessert. Beans, yes, you want to do that, but you got to change it up. You got to, just like you said, that muscle memory. You don't want your husband to get bored. And vice versa, brothers, you don't want your wife to get bored. So keep things new and fresh. Do different things. You know, we went jet skiing, had never been jet skiing. We're gonna do some other things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so I know you have to take care of something, so we don't want to exceed the time limit. Very quick question. Thank you all for your comments in the section, and thank you all for your great responses. A lot of people saying a lot of things. We love you. They're so cute. We love them together. That's beautiful. Keep teaching right away, sister. Keep it real. I know that's right. A whole bunch of them bear witness. Okay. The question is, as far as how did children impact the marriage from the man and the woman on both sides? How did children impact the marriage?
Oh, I'm gonna keep it real there. I couldn't wait for them jokers to get the hell up out of my room. You know, they were infringing upon personal time and otherwise. And don't get me wrong, they brought a lot of beauty to the relationship. No question, right? But now you realize it's a time jump.
That's a new trial.
And it is.
That's a new trial. I mean, and you know, we'd like to be all, children are so lovely and they're Allah's blessings. Yes, they're Allah's blessings, but they also are Allah's trial. So they bring things out in you and they force you to grow past where you are as husband and wife, past where you are as an individual and as a parent.
Yep.
And sometimes you find you might not be on the same page in the parenting. So that forces you to have to communicate.
Yep.
If you're wise, you sit down and you communicate.
Yep.
If you're stupid, you try to do what you're going to do and the other person try to do what they're going to do, and then you're going to always be fighting. So it forces you to rely on each other. It also forces you, like you said, to not use the child as a crutch or the children as a crutch, to not tend to your marriage.
Say it now. Stop right there. That's important.
That's so important.
I'm gonna say this real quick.
Come on. Where you going?
Right?
We share the same brain.
So, Golden State Warriors wife of
Stephen Curry
said this. His wife said that she puts her relationship before her children. I agree with that.
Yes.
Now, some sisters right now,
our child is our first post.
No, I'm gonna say you have to put your relationship before everything.
That's right.
else, because if the relationship is not healthy, you want to put the children first. My babies come first. Now, there's something in the relationship when it comes to trouble. Your children come first, your first post. Your children. So when it comes to the household, the relationship comes first. Because if you're always taking care of the children, gotta make sure the children eat, gotta make sure the children got clothes, gotta make sure the children go to school, gotta make sure the children, you don't put no time into the relationship to build the relationship. What do you think is gonna happen to the relationship? And who do you think is watching as an example on how a relationship should work?
And when that relationship fails, who gets impacted the greatest initially?
The children.
It's the children.
Because you didn't put the relationship first. Self-preservation is the second law. No, it's the first law of nature. So relationship preservation in your household should be the first law of nature. And then everything else around that will fall in place. Because you'll be communicating about all that. Because you're talking about that in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay, my sister Naima says, what is your advice for expecting parents?
Oh, so we were
Don't expect. No. I really am. We got 6.
And we gave birth to 5.
So,
So
no.
You know, we've been down that road several times. I would say this. I would say share the experience, sister, with your husband as much as possible. Make him a part of it. You know, we were really fortunate, and this is going to be a taboo thing too, because we do taboo every now and then. But I was a young MGT, and I had the same gynecologist since before I was an MGT, who just happened to be a man. And so in order to make him feel comfortable, I said, because we talked about it, and he was like, I don't know how I feel about you having a male doctor, you know, all that. I said, well, listen, I want you to meet him. If you don't like him, I'll get rid of him. But I felt like I had this doctor since I was 16. I felt comfortable. You know, my mother went to him, my grandmother, aunt, my husband went to him, and immediately the bond was so strong. But my husband was involved in the pregnancy. He was not sitting on the sidelines waiting for me to have a baby. He was involved. He made the doctor's appointments, the ultrasounds. When I was on bed rest, he took care of me. When I had the babies, he took care of me. When they found my cervix, my husband saw my cervix. I couldn't see it. Okay. So he was involved.
I was involved. Let me tell you something. I didn't miss an appointment.
Reading.
There was a book called What to
Expect When You're Expecting. We read it together.
5 children by her, and I have missed under 5 doctor appointments.
That's it.
And this is with 5. You know how many? See, they start off having those appointments once every 30 days. Sometimes once every 60. But the closer they get, it's once every 2 weeks. It's once every week. And I didn't miss any. Not that I took off work. We just made sure we scheduled them bad boys at a time where I could be present. You see? So yeah, after she had that baby, guess where I was? I was in the hospital room in the other bed. You see? You know, she had to go to the bathroom after we had talked. What we talk that the closest thing a woman will come to death is giving birth. So why in the heck do I find the some of us, FOI, brothers in the street, after a woman will have a baby, really the only thing your knucklehead ass can be worried about is when is it going to be for us to be able to have sex again? I just want to get to that part. That's the problem. No, you know what?
It's abuse.
You know what I was concerned about? Let me help you go to the bathroom. Let me give you your shot. You just had a baby. Some women have to have what are they called? Episiotomies. Where they have to get it sewn back up with that big old head monster and pushed his way through and his falls whipping. Now I want you to listen now. So they have to be sewn back up. There's blood. Then after they have the baby, because I've seen it all. After they have the baby, they also have after that the placenta.
That's
so
another
after
delivery.
the baby is pushed out, then they push out the placenta. And the placenta, mind you, is where the baby is housed.
No, that's the nourishment.
Right, that's the nourishment. So that's where the baby eats from. So they have to push. That's a whole nother push. So the doctor will push down on the stomach, and all of the water and the blood will come out, and then the placenta comes out after they've had that baby. Then if he has to, he get that needle and thread. Now he got to sew her back up. Just go to the bathroom. Some women get hemorrhoids really, really badly because I do all of that. Son, yeah. No, I'm gonna give.
No, I'm glad you're telling me this. I didn't know that is. Oh, good. Okay.
First, she pushed for 2 crowns for 2.5 hours. What does that mean? In and out. Let me say, for 2.5 hours, you sit up and do this. Just do that for 2. But we're talking about
like
hair.
It's
like it in and out. So she's going through all of this, and you tell me I'm not there to pick her up to the bathroom, give her a shower,
and not to mention nursing.
Right.
See, everybody looks at it and they're, oh, she's breastfeeding. Yeah, but when the milk comes in, the breasts are hard as rocks, cinder blocks. And so that's a whole thing. All of this, it's a major thing. So the best thing I could say, the best advice is, brother, love your wife. Love her. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that love is freedom, justice, and equality. It is duty. You are duty bound. Don't go find some other sister to take care of your wife.
Right.
Take care of your wife. Maintain her.
I was thinking the same thing. Maintain. We're maintainers. Maintain. We got twisted. We think that's get up, go to work, bring home the money, and then go about our. No, it's so much more than that. So when she gave birth to our children, not her child, not our children, I made sure by Allah's permission that I was there to help maintain and care for.
And he was.
And when we got home, I washed, folded, cleaned.
He didn't come in saying, "What is you
right
for dinner?"
No, I cleaned, I washed, I ironed, I vacuumed, I checked if somebody needed to go to the bath, whatever it was. She just had a baby, so for 6, 8 weeks. Man, and she didn't take advantage of that. She just laying in bed.
I'm not because I was up.
She was up. I don't know about I got it. Especially the first 2, 3 weeks. You know how much damage can be done if she feels like she has to do because you won't do, while her body is coming back together. And remind you, when she nurses, that pulls the uterus, that pulls everything in the body back together. Pain. And this pain, so every time the baby sucks, she feels it in her uterus and her back coming back together. It's so much. And I'm just scratching the scratch. Right? So that's what I'm saying. So that's real. You have to maintain, take care of. See, once you understand that, then it becomes easier.
Okay. One more question, because we have so much. I know you got time. All these people, thank y'all for your responses, and thank y'all for laughing at me because I never heard about none of this. Thank y'all for. After hearing something like that, for somebody who single, may not have no children, then just heard you all describe that, what would make him want to do that? It's beautiful, but at the same time, it's like, you want me to go through what? Like, how like, you know what I'm saying? Like, help me understand that. Help me as a man, like, you want me to go through that?
Love. Read the Bible on, and love is not haughty. See, love, long suffering.
Always patient.
It's always patient. I want to 2 Corinthians, and I can't think of the verses, but it's there. Just look it up. Love is this, and it talks about all of the things love really. Minister said love is an action verb. So when you compare what love is to the responsibility that you have, going through what I had to go through with my wife, that was nothing.
And he went through one thing, but think about what your wife goes through.
Right.
And think about the bond that you have when you go through that with her as much as possible, because you can't go through the physical. It's impossible for you to go through your body being stretched out for 9 months, and you all don't have a uterus, so you don't know what that feels like. But all of that you can't go through. But if you're there as a support system for her, what kind of love do you think brews in her heart after that? See, everything else that we go through, he stood there at every doctor's appointment. He caught babies. He cut the umbilical cord. He caught the last one before the doctor could even get her smock on, because the baby shot out. That was the easiest labor ever, by the way. The baby shot out. But he caught our daughter. Otherwise, she'd been on the floor. So what kind of love do you think that I have? So when those trials come, see, I can rest my heart on that. That's my husband. The sin, that's not that man. My man is the man who stood by me. My man is the man who maintained me. My man is the man who took care of me, who cleaned me, who helped me with those babies. That's my man. The sin is not my husband. This is my husband.
But we're gonna leave on a high note like that. Beautiful. I have some phone calls to make because I'm I'm like, listen now, y'all just put me in my feelings. Y'all made me feel about love, and oh, that's beautiful. Y'all really broke it down today. It's like, man, you know what? That's what life is all about: love and children and uterus pulling, and oh god. But that's beautiful. I thank y'all for taking time out of our schedule. You get a lot of likes, a lot of people commenting. I'm gonna put it on YouTube because I think this needs to be heard, to be healed. But y'all definitely just, man, put some perspective in the marriage, but then the children. My goodness, that's a beautiful thing. That's really beautiful, man.
Everybody got to do it. Get married, y'all. We don't want to be alone.
Right. Ready for the beautiful struggle, but the beauty in it. You know, it really is, you know.
Excellent. And I want to let everybody see this except for my parents, because once they see it, they'll be calling me every day. Like, see, even they said it. You see Joshua here, baby? I'm like, oh god. But that's beautiful. Thank you all for coming on. Thank you all for watching this. This is very powerful. It's gonna be on YouTube. And thank y'all for being so transparent. It's beautiful, very inspirational.
Oh yes, I know. Thank you. If we're not transparent, you're lying. I mean, no other way to put it. Either you're transparent or you put it on the show. I don't have time or energy to do that.
Excellent. Well, wonderful. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for watching. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Thank you.